Now, moving on to what Rem has here, an after dinner mints. I love that. Love that for. Love that description. After dinner
Do
mints
we need
worth
to
of
hit college football?
energy.
I wanted to do a little
Two
college
pack.
football, but we did run a little long with the
We
picks.
can touch on it if you want. I mean, we don't have to deep dive, but it is huge news. I think it was announced today, but the ACC is going to be
Yeah.
taking Stanford, Cal, and SMU, which means that the Pac-12 has been so ransacked that it is now what some are calling two pack,
Hmm.
just with Washington State and Oregon State left. I'm kind of surprised no one wanted the Washington State. They're sometimes a good football team, um, but
Yeah.
yeah. Are we expecting? I mean, what do you even do? I don't even know what you do as the Pac-12 commissioner. I mean, I guess you kind of have to just start bringing in Power Five or Power of Five, or yeah, I guess is
Bringing
the
Colorado
technical.
State.
Yeah, just start bringing in other
I mean,
teams
you just
because
what do you
don't
just
really have another
promote
option.
the Mountain West becomes the Pac-12 essentially? Because that's what it seems like the only option is at this point.
Pretty much, just change their names.
I guess here's what I wanted to know about this college football season because I have been getting excited about this being like the last, like we've talked about, this is the last sort of normal season of college basketball. The Pac 12 is going to disintegrate after next year. All of these teams are jumping around, conferences are realigning. But, like, so, so what's just in college football? Because again, we're talking about college football. We're not talking necessarily about college sports for
Yeah,
this or college basketball. So for college football, like what's going to happen this year that's going to make like this old system better? Because people are talking about the power divide between the big schools, the little schools, that this realignment is only going to increase that. But it's college football. It's always been a powerhouse sport. And it's not the teams have never really had the opportunities. Like there's not really an opportunity for a small team to sort of make a run. You have to be a dominant team all year. The conference champions have always been, either top two teams in the division, or in some cases you get a weaker division like the Big Ten has had the last couple of years, and there's like some potential for an upset there. But for the most part, college football is a sport of powerhouses, and everything's going to shift and realign and be different. But is there something like crazy that's going to happen this year that is going to be like, oh yeah, this is why the old system's better. This gives teams fair chances. This is the right way to do it. Like the powerhouse schools are the powerhouse schools, and those are the teams that are going to be competitive. And I mean, it's four teams have a shot to win the national title right now. And we already kind of know who it is. If the Big Ten champion is good, if the SEC champion is good, if the ACC champion is good, like those teams are going to be in. So I mean, college football is going to look different, and there's going to be fundamental things about how it operates, sort of structurally, and how the teams are built. But like the on the field product, like what's going to happen this season that makes the old college football thing so much better?
I think the main argument that has actually made sense is the local rivalries. I think has been the main thing. The history of playing the team down the road, of having that, state by state, Oregon or the state colleges play each other, and to have that tradition, and that's what I think has made it different from professional football. And I mean, I understand people's point of view in terms of that it is becoming more and more like professional football. It has been along
Sure.
those lines, but now with NIL deals, it's easier to move in the transfer portal. Now they're all in the same division. I think it's a lot closer to now just as straight up NFL than it's ever been. Now that they're going to be all under the same umbrella. and it's going to be interesting to see how fans react to it. I mean, it is gonna. I think it may make up for more entertaining games, but there are some legitimate worries I think that can be put in terms of the health for these college athletes, where they'll have to travel across the country to play games. And I know that it may seem dramatic when you mention, oh, you have to go from USC to Rutgers, but that is 4 hours, and that does matter. I think that takes up huge amount of time when you consider classes and homework and things along those lines. And even if within football those are split, into different divisions, I still think it'll affect other sports. In terms of and it does. I think it does matter a lot. So, I mean, the colleges have been making moves based off of money for years. I mean, that's the point of these institutions, anyways, to make money. And so it is kind of sad that it has to go this way. But I mean, I'm kind of on the other side. I don't really see an upside with the new system besides more money because it's a bigger payout if you're in the Big Ten. They have a bigger streaming deal, which I mean will go only higher now that they've added a lot more teams to it. But beyond the money, which is not supposed to be the focus of this college teams, I mean, I kind of understand keeping the history, keeping it how it is. And I think one of the things I also really liked is having the different kinds of football from different kind of parts of the country. When you had a Pac-12 game, there's a certain kind of football, maybe more quarterback oriented. With Big 12, it's high scoring. SEC, a bigger defense. Just having a different flavor from around the country, it really felt like you're getting the uniqueness of each college. There's a rivalry game almost every week from those different areas, and it's just now that's kind of just destroyed. Now you just have Stanford play Iowa on a regular basis or something like that. Teams that just never played each other usually. So it still will be very entertaining. People will still make money, and the world will keep spinning around. But it just kind of sucks.
Well, I just until I actually see the historical stuff go away, like I just don't know where that's going to happen. Like Iowa State's a perfect example. Neither of those teams are in the same conference and they play that rivalry every year. Like I don't think the interstate stuff is going to go away. I mean, Oklahoma State, like you want to go way back into history, those teams always haven't been in the same conference. They've been in the same conference for a majority of modern history, but a lot of these college football rivalries, again, they run deeper than especially like the interstate stuff, the Iowa State, the Oklahoma State, the Oregon State game is going to take place every year. Cincinnati, Miami, Ohio. It's the longest running rivalry in college football, and neither of those teams have ever been in the same conference. So, and the big money rivalries, they all move together because they know what they're doing. USC and UCLA move together. Texas and Oklahoma move together. If Michigan and Ohio State were looking for conferences, they would jump together because they're the big money schools. Like these teams know what they're doing. So now everything is compact. And again, everything's going to be sort of different, but I don't know. I don't really know what's going to be different in college football. And it's expanding to 12 teams. So a conference championship will matter, but it's not like all of these teams are going into two conferences to compete for playoff spots. Well, they're going to be competing for 12. So you can still lose a conference. It's not there's not 12 conference winners that are going to be in the college football playoffs. So I think, some of the business stuff, I think, I think the regions were really distinct stylistically, and now that is sort of merged, on a game to game basis, you're definitely going to have more styles clashing. But I think some of this stuff about the history of college football going away, like, it's always moved and it's always been
Yeah.
changed. And the interstate stuff, like why would Iowa and Iowa State not play each other? That game is just those games are big money games for those schools because those rivalries just need to happen. So if that stuff actually starts going away, then there's going to be, then maybe it's like, okay, maybe, I'll get nostalgic for the old college football. And maybe it's me just being a Michigan fan too, rooting for a powerhouse team. but I think everything's sort of going to be similar. Their playoffs going to be more open, and I think the interstate stuff, the small stuff, like the real loser here might be like Rice, who doesn't get to play Miami or like Alabama at the beginning of the season and just make $3 million for getting beat 50-0. Like teams have to condense the schedule and only play good teams because if you have to start prioritizing games, like how many games would you have to cut before Oklahoma is like, okay, well, let's just not do the Oklahoma State rivalry. Like that's just not one of the most priority games on the schedule. So things are going to be different. People are going to want the old stuff back, but I think college football is going to be. I think people need to pump the brakes on like everything shifting. I think it's still gonna work the same. The powerhouse schools have always been the powerhouse schools. They're always the teams at the top, and the 12-team playoff is gonna allow those teams to continue to compete for playoff spots and compete for national titles without necessarily having to win the conference. There's just gonna be more playoff spots to go into. So I think people are gonna adjust quickly, and I think it's gonna be fine. So. Some of the stuff, there's some business stuff that I think we can question, but I don't know. Just personally, I have a hard time seeing that heritage stuff go away. I saw Kurt Barron saying it too, and it's like, buddy, you're a perfect example. Iowa State's in the Big 12. You play that game every year. If Iowa State moved to the ACC, guess what? You're playing that game because it's Iowa State. You need to do it. Who's letting the heritage die?
He's just mad he doesn't have a cakewalk every year anymore. I mean, that's
that is true. It's just like on the off chance that there was an upset, but just historically there hasn't been. And I went through and looked and tried to prepare him. There's a couple of iffy ones, but ultimately it wouldn't even have mattered for the team that got beat. They dropped like a couple spots, and in a 12-team playoff, they're in. So I mean, you're Kurt. The two losers are Rice and Kurt Ferentz.
Yeah. I mean, I do think college students still do lose because of travel, but I do think
that is true too. That is valid.
They can't keep up the. I mean, if they can keep up the rivalries, I think that's great. And I think you're right. They have shown a history of doing that, but it's motivation is money, so we'll see. I mean, how this works out, if it will essentially just be conferences just within like little divisions of a conference.
That's what it seems like. That's kind of what it seems like.
What it's gonna be. So they don't have to do some cross country travel. So we'll see. I mean, I'm pretty excited. It's a brave new world, and you just kind of got to deal with it. So
that clash of styles might be interesting. I don't know. You get like USC just going to Wisconsin all the time, Nebraska.
We'll see.
Let's play. All the Big Ten games should be neutral site in LA. I think it's the only way to do it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Warm weather.
I want to see if Iowa ever gets a top 20 ranking again. I don't know.
I think they will this year.
Well, this year.
I think they're a top 25 team.
Yeah, no, not top 25, but top like 10, top 15. Dealing with all those teams. Getting exposed early. All right.
Also, a couple of players to shout out. Where's your Travis Hunter stock at right now? You think Travis Hunter's going to have a good year? Former #1 recruit at Colorado. I just think keep an eye on him. Again, he's the former #1 recruit. And if you go look at the Colorado depth chart right now, he's literally slotted to start at both receiver and cornerback. And I think he could be awesome at both. And really, there hasn't been a guy that's done that since probably Champ Bailey. Like Jabril Peppers got used on offense, but he didn't play on offense. Like, it seems like Travis Hunter is actually going to play on both sides of the football. And I think he's talented enough to be really good on both. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for the former #1 overall recruit. I think people like, hey, just because he went to Jackson State for a year, like, I don't know why everybody forgot about him, but keep an eye out for Travis Hunter. Do you want to remind people to keep an eye out for Jalen Daniels, Kansas quarterback? Before he got hurt, he was on pace for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns.
Right, man.
Is he the best quarterback in the Big 12?
Definitely, I think. I don't know.
Over Quinn Ewers?
Over Quinn Ewers.
Arch Manning already?
Hey, we let Miney already get under center. Also, Quinn Ewers. Let's see. It's supposed to be a big year for him this year.
Texas, Alabama, week 2. It's a big one. Oh, also with Travis Hunter, this will probably depending on when this comes out tomorrow, but they're playing TCU, and you can guarantee I will be making money on Colorado beating TCU in that game. I think they're 7-1 underdogs right now against TCU with without Max Duggan, without Kendre Miller, without Quentin Johnston. Still a talented team, but keeping my eye. Can we adopt Colorado as an unofficial team of the pod?
Hey, did you
this
see
year?
Deion Sanders lost 2 toes so he could play more, could be there for more games for Colorado?
I had
That's
that
wild.
down for Piercing Truth.
Amputated. That's
He
wild.
said they're dead, man. He's like, they're charcoal black. Just take them. They're no good.
All right,
That was
bro.
loosely the quote. Also,
I'd
keep
keep
an eye
him
out,
just for balance. Like, might want to keep. Okay, what?
also keep an eye out for DJ Uyunglele,
Wait, what team is he on? I know he moved. He transferred.
Oregon State.
Yeah.
Last
Pac-12, 2 Pac-12 MVP 2025.
Yeah, if he stays in the Pac-12 one more year, he can play Washington State 12 times and be the best player in the Pac-12.
Heisman watch. All right. I don't
we
even
have
know
time?
what.
Do we have time for a FIBA check-in?
Oh heck yeah! Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton. Him?